What is up, y'all? So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for purchasing this editing tool, the Evan Ramft preset module, whatever you want to call this. I don't even like including the name preset in this because that is not what it is. This is a tool to help you edit like me. And if you've been following my YouTube channel for a while, if you're a fan of me, you know that I have talked pretty bad about presets a lot in the past because I don't think they work. I do not think they are an effective method for editing because typically you find yourself in a variety of different situations where you need a variety of different edits. And for the most part, at least in my own experience, whenever I save a preset that I like with one photo and apply it to another image, typically I spend a lot of time trying to get the images to match. I end up moving things around a lot and doing a lot of customization, and it just defeats the whole purpose of the preset in general. Why use something that only works on 1 out of 5 of your photos? And that is why over the years I've refined my editing style. If you follow the tutorials on the YouTube channel, you know that typically I just start with a basic tone curve and then I edit the photo accordingly, going through colors, color grading, basic adjustments, and all that stuff. And I took that process and I broke it down into a series of modular presets that allow you now, and it allows me to edit quickly and get a variety of different looks to my photos without having to tweak each one individually. It just basically speeds up my editing workflow, and that's what I'm now able to share with y'all through this preset pack. So this is something completely different than what you're probably used to other photographers having out there. This is not, one photo, click on a preset, it's completely edited. This is, you have one photo, you click the tone curve, you go through all these basic adjustments, figure out which one you think looks best, then you go through and you figure out what colors, what color grade, vignette, all these different things that you can try out. And today I have about 30 examples for y'all to watch through so you can get an idea of how I use these in my day-to-day workflow. And by the end of this, you will be able to edit literally the exact same way as me. On the YouTube channel going forward, I'm going to probably show more of this process in videos. So once again, you'll get refreshers and you'll get to see in the actual video, if you have this module, you'll see, oh, okay, cool. If I make a photo like this, this is exactly how I edited this. This is going to be a really awesome tool, not only for y'all, but for me as well, to really share my process and help you guys get the same result as me, and I'll actually be able to show it now. So if you downloaded this today and you continue to watch the YouTube videos, you're going to be able to see how this is used in a variety of other situations along the way as well. So I'm really excited about this. I really appreciate y'all being a part of this. I put a lot of time into thinking about how to do this and share some type of tool that gave you results similar to mine without the typical BS that I dislike with presets. I don't want you to download something from me and only get a result on like 1 out of 5 or 6 images. This will work for pretty much all your photos. Now, I do want to throw the disclaimer out there as always. Any type of preset, even the one that I have today, even though it's modular, it's not one size fits all. You might find yourself in a situation where you do need to tweak your edit a little bit, and you're going to see that as we go through this tutorial today. But let's just jump into it. We're going to jump into Lightroom right now. I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this. If you don't know how to import presets into Lightroom, just go over to the preset tab or the preset side of Lightroom. It's on the left, and just click on the plus sign and just drop in the zip file that you got with the email when you purchased this. You drop that in and the preset pack will be right there for you. So let's get to it. So now that you have the presets imported into your Lightroom, I'm going to show you how you can use these as modular editing tools so you can replicate my editing style and my editing workflow on your photos and really speed up your process and also achieve a consistent look throughout your photography. So how I use this module right here is the first thing I do is drop in a tone curve similar to what I would do in all my edits that you've seen me watch on YouTube. This is the tone curve, the 2 variations of it that I use on literally every single one of my photos. So now you have this piece of my edits. The second thing that I like to do is I like to mess around with my white balance and get an idea of if I want to change my white balance or not. And with this photo, I think warming up the photo a little bit looks good. These white balance adjustments right here, are not intended to be perfect. It's not like you can just slap one of these on and get a magic effect. Sometimes you might get lucky and get, a nice change to your photo, but this is more intended for you to see what an image will look like cooled off, what it will look like warmed up, and then you can go in and adjust accordingly if you need to. So after that, I use the basic adjustment settings up here to get kind of a rough look at what the basic adjustments are going to look like on this photo. Once again, you can always come back and change these and get different inspiration as the edit moves through it, and you're going to see me do that. So with this one, I'm going to go ahead and start just with basic adjustments 1. I think this is a solid starting point right here. Actually, I'm going to go with basic adjustments 2 for now, and we'll change this around if we need to. Next thing I'm going to do is look at these colors right here. So we have a bunch of color boost options. The first one being the most subtle, second being a little bit 2 and 3 are very similar. 2 is a little bit brighter. I think I'm going to go with number 3 to start out with right here. Next up, there's also a color drop right here if you want to desaturate your photo as well. Next up, we have all the different color grades that are available that I use on quite a few of my images. I think with this one, I'm going to go ahead and use color grade 1. I like the warming effect that it has. This is the color grade that I use more often than not. It's just a shadow warming. You hear me talk about that all the time, especially if you're on the Patreon. You know that that's like the main component of most of my edits. Now we have some different color settings as well right here. I personally like the way colors number 1 look, but I also kind of like the way number 3 looks as well. We're going to go ahead and just stick with colors number 1. Those color adjustments are going to take place down here. So as you can see, kind of a more orange and blue look to this particular one. Now, a setting that I added in here is called the color boost, or the exposure boost, excuse me. And the reason I added this in is it's nice to see every now and again if your photo might need a little bit extra exposure or not. And with this one, I definitely think the image needs a little bit more, but maybe not as much as is applied when you see this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it on, and then I'm going to make an adjustment here back to, I think, I'm going to go halves on this. So we're going to go to plus 25. And from this step, I'm going to go ahead and tweak this edit a little bit. I'm going to bring our contrast back up here. I think that negative contrast adjustment was unnecessary. I'm also going to drop down my highlights just a little bit here. I think right around negative 22 works. And I'm going to bring my shadows up. So I'm actually really editing this a lot. And what we could do to speed this up is we could go back up to these basic adjustments right here and look through and see which ones we think look the best and then edit off that. So maybe we go number 1. Yeah, I think that's a little more in line with what I'm trying to do. I'm going to boost up the whites though, and I'm going to bring the shadows up also. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and fix that contrast adjustment that I made and bring this closer to right around there. So I'm liking the way this looks. I think I could add in a little bit more saturation as well. And I'm liking that so far. So another thing that I have included in this is the softening effect. On a photo like this, I really like to bring the clarity down quite a bit. So I'm going to use softening 1. You could also use softening 2, which is -5. It's a little bit less. But softening 1, I think it looks really nice on this. It adds to the foggy effect that we have going on here. So this photo looks great. That's the before. This is the after. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and just take these settings and apply them to other photos from the same day. So let's go ahead and copy these over and let's paste them onto this image right here and see how it looks. That looks really, really solid. I don't think we even need to do anything to this particular image. And let's do the same thing to this one over here. That looks great as well. I don't think we have to do anything to this one. We could go ahead and add some vignette in on this one. Probably could have done the same on the last one. But now, as you can see, we have 3 photos that all have the same consistent look to them. Let's take this image right here, for example, which is a completely different style of photo compared to those last 2 street images. We can now follow the exact same process. We can go ahead and drop in a tone curve right here. We can run through these basic adjustments and get an idea of which one we like the most. I'm thinking basic adjustment 8 looks pretty good. With this, I don't really know if I want to do any color boosting to this quite yet, so I'm going to skip this. I don't think this needs a color grade either. Obviously, every photo does not need a color grade. Let's look at the color settings on this one. I think colors 6 look really good. I'm going to do soften number, let's see here. I'm going to do soften number 2, just a slight softening on this. I'm going to check these white balances. I think the white balance 3 looks really good on this one, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust these basic adjustments a little bit here myself, and I'm going to manually just go ahead and move up the vibrance on this, bring a lot of vibrance in here, and bang, I think this image looks really good. So now let's go ahead and do this image right here. We're going to use the exact same process as the last 2 images. So we'll start with standard tone curve number 1. Let's run through these basic adjustments real quick. I think 2 is looking really nice. Flat is a little bit too flat, but one good thing about flat, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the reason I included this in here, is it takes all the contrast out, so you can make your edits and then at the end bring your contrast back in and decide really where you want it to land. It's more of a customization type thing that you can do, but I personally think this looks great. Let's go ahead and look at the colors real quick. Do these need to be boosted at all? I'm thinking colors 3 look really good. Let's go through the color grade. These don't need a color grade in my opinion, so I'm going to go ahead and skip it. Do these need a color adjustment? I do think colors 6 look pretty good. Don't think it needs any more exposure. We're going to go ahead and do soften 2 to drop out a little bit of that. Let's check these white balances and see if it affects the photo in a way that we like. I actually do like the way it looks with white balance 4. So I'm going to go and move these basic adjustments just a little bit here. We're going to Command Z those because I actually think it looked better the way it was. I think this one is done. I'm going to go ahead and check these colors one last time, make sure that there's nothing I'm seeing that I like. I don't know, I kind of like 5 too. 6 and 5 I think look really good. You could go either way, it's just a matter of personal preference. Going to check the color grades again. Definitely don't need a color grade on this image. So this one is done. That is the after, that's the before, a very subtle edit. You can add in a little more contrast, maybe depending on your own personal preference. Next up, we are going to do both of these photos using the same edits again. This is going to be an example of more like an editorial style thing. I'm going to go ahead and use starter number 1. Check these basic adjustments here on this. I think I want a little bit more of a punch. So I think I'm going to go with, I like the way number 5 looks. Obviously, we can go back and adjust it accordingly. Actually, I kind of think I like number 9 now that I'm looking at it. Let's check on these colors right here. I'm going to decide on the saturation after I go check the colors down here. So let's go through these. I personally think I like colors 2. Now let's check this color boost. I'm going to go ahead and do number 2. That is looking good. Check these color grades. I'm definitely liking the way color grade 6 looks right here. Exposure boost. We might be able to benefit from some exposure, but I think what we can do is bring the shadows up just a little bit and bring the whites up just a little bit here as well. That's looking great. Double check these white balances, even though I think I got this one perfect in camera. Nope, doesn't need to be changed. We'll go ahead and do soften number 2 just for a little bit of that digital edge to be taken off the image. And we'll scroll down here, add in a little bit of vignette onto this particular image. And as always, I've talked about this a million times on the YouTube channel before. We can add a mask in here. Just click on option. And this way you can see where the mask is going to be applied. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can do this with every image. You should probably already know this by now if you followed me. There we go. Maybe add in a little bit more detail. I think that image looks fantastic. What we're going to do, let's just check these colors one last time here. Yeah, I think I like the way... I think I'm liking the colors that we went ahead and used on this one. You might be able to do 5. Once again, matter of personal preference. I'm actually going to do 5. I think I like that punchier blue look right there. So now I'm going to copy these settings right now, jump over to this image, and I'm going to just paste these settings on and then adjust accordingly. So I think that's looking pretty good. I think our basic adjustments we could change here. So let's see. Are any of these basic adjustments looking better? I think basic adjustments 2 look much better, and we can go ahead and call that image done. Once again, you can go through here and make some changes if you want, but personally, I think these colors are going to match these colors very nicely, so there's no reason to change them because you have a really solid photo set that easily. So on to the next example right here. We have this night image. Now I'm going to scroll up to these basic adjustments here and see which one is really helping out the image. Personally, I'm thinking that basic adjustment, Personally, I'm thinking that basic adjustment number 4, I think looks really good. Let's check these colors. I don't know if I want to boost up these colors too much. I kind of like the color drop, so we're going to start with that for now, desaturate it a little bit. How are these colors looking, these color grades? Kind of like the way color grade 5 looks. We'll go ahead and drop that in. Obviously, we can change it if we need to. Color changes to this particular one. Thinking that I like the way colors 1 look, and let's go ahead and do a big softening drop on this one. Let's check these white balances. I don't think I need to do anything. I don't think I need to do anything to the white balance here. So one thing I might do is bring a little bit of saturation back into this and a little bit of vibrance back into it. Let's check on the exposure up here. Let's do the shadows actually. I think that looks really, really nice. Skin is a little bit orange, so once again we're going to jump back to these colors and I'm going to see if there's one that I like a little bit better. I do kind of like the way color 6 looks actually. Now that I'm really looking at this, let's see. I'll turn these on and off. I'm going to go in and change this orange just a little bit and see if I can change it up slightly. I think that is looking pretty good. Let's go back to these color grades and see if there is a difference in any of these. I'm going to go ahead and leave the color grades alone on this image. I think that looks really good. This is the before and after right here. We could drop in maybe a little bit more contrast, but I don't think this image needs it. One thing we can do is add in a graduated filter down here at the bottom because I don't think we need all that exposure down there. We could maybe do something like that. And then we could probably bring the exposure up just slightly on this one, I think right around there. But if we do that, I'm going to bring these shadows back down slightly, and I'm going to go ahead and make a really big adjustment to our luminance right here. I'm going to add a lot of this in, and once again, I'm going to drop in a mask. I've done this so many times that I kind of know where I want it to land, so I think around 60% is going to be good on that one. I think this one looks pretty solid. I could go back in here and make some more heavy adjustments to this and really figure out exactly how I want it to look. But for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and say that that one is done. So this next example is one that's pretty basic that we'll be able to edit very quickly. We'll go ahead and start with tone curve number 1. Let's check these basic adjustments right here. I think something like that looks really good. Let's check our white balance and just see if maybe we want to warm this thing up at all. Maybe we'll go with white balance 4, and then we can adjust it accordingly if need be. We don't need any more exposure. Let's check these colors right here. Colors 3 look great. And do we want to add in some type of color grade? Definitely color grade 2. That looks, color grade 1 or 2. I'm going to go with 2. I think that looks great. See the colors. I don't think they need too much here, so I think we'll go with number 3 maybe and adjust the saturation and everything down just a little bit ourselves manually. I'm liking the way that looks. Bring the shadows down just a little bit. Bring that down as well. Contrast can maybe come up. We'll just leave it like that. We'll go ahead and call that image done. This is something that you'd use for like an Instagram story or something like that. Pretty subtle edit, but it gets the job done extremely quickly. So from here, we're going to do another street photography set with this one. Let's see. Let's start with tone curve number 1. Then basic adjustments. I think this is going to need some highlights to be dropped. So we'll go ahead and do adjustment 3. Let's check our white balances here. I think this could benefit from a warmer white balance for sure. So let's do white balance 2. Let's check these colors. Liking the way colors 2 look. Let's check our color grade here. I'm going to come back to the color grade. I want to see what this looks like with the colors really popping on here. We'll go color boost number 2. Let's check these basic adjustments one more time. I think that looks fine. I don't think we have to do anything special. So let's check these color grades one last time. I think color grade 2 looks really good. And what I'm going to do is drop in a graduated filter up top right here. Going to bring the highlights, whoa, not that low. Bring the highlights down up there just a little bit to add some more blue into the sky. And I'm going to check these colors one more time because I'm not sure if that blue is like really blue, and I think maybe a teal look I might look better. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and go with that. So let's copy these settings right now. Obviously, we could go in and refine this a little bit more, but I really don't think we need to. So I'm going to copy these settings and go ahead and apply them to this image right here. Let's see how it looks. So too much white balance on this clearly. So you could just adjust it yourself, or we can just drop down here and get a quick inspiration of what white balance might look good. We'll go ahead and start with 1 and then adjust everything accordingly. I think moving the white balance to the cooler side like that will look good. And let's see the tint. I think we can go a little bit to the purple side. I think that looks solid. Let's check with some shadow updates here. I think that looks good. You could obviously go in and refine it a little bit more yourself, but the point of this modular preset pack is to keep a consistent look throughout your edits, and I think these two together definitely have a consistent vibe to them. So let's go ahead and copy these settings now. Actually, we're going to go ahead and copy these again right here because the lighting and everything is a little bit similar to the next photo we're going to do. That's a little bit too much. I think right around there. It's pretty solid on these adjustments. There we go. Let's copy these. And let's go ahead and bring these over here. Paste these in. That looks really great off top. I actually edited this photo on the YouTube channel, so you can see the exact settings I did there if you're familiar with that video. But I think this looks great. Obviously, once again, you could go in and adjust it yourself, but we have a similar look throughout each one of these images. So let's jump over here to this last photo, which was actually made on the same morning. And this is going to be an example of how ridiculous the color grades can really get on this modular pack and how you can get a lot of different looks from this set. So we'll start with Tone Curve 2, basic adjustments. We're going to go ahead and go with, I like this basic adjustment 5. It adds a lot into the shadows. We're going to bring the highlights down on this though to really, get as much dynamic range out of the camera as we possibly can. Now let's go ahead and look at these colors. We're going to just boost the colors up with 3. And now let's check all these color grades. So as you can see, color grade 2, I think color grade 2 looks really cool. It adds a lot of warmth into the shadows right here, gives this a really retro look. And also, I think color grade 6 definitely favors more of like a warm shadow type look. Color grade 7 gives a little bit more green in the shadows. So there's a lot of different options here, and depending on the photo and the vibe you're going for, like this one has a more film look, you can basically use any one of these. It's all just a matter of personal preference and kind of the style you're going for with the photo. And also remember, you can always adjust these accordingly yourself. Like let's say you do this one, you're thinking the purple is a little bit much. You can always go over here and slightly adjust this purple maybe to something warmer or more towards the green side and get a completely different effect, and then also edit the blending yourself to really customize the look of this. But that's a good example of how all the different color grades on this can apply to your photo. And then let's just jump into these colors real quick and see what they do. I personally sometimes just like the colors that come out of the camera. So remember, you don't always have to add in every single one of these settings. Like we did earlier, I didn't add the color grade to certain photos. This one, I'm not going to add colors to it because I don't think it's necessary. So moving on, let's go ahead and edit this one. We're going to run through these really quick now. So let's start the same way we started every single time. Tone curve, let's see these basic adjustments right here. We'll start with number 2, colors. I think we can add in some colors on this one. We'll start with number 1 just for the time being. These color grades, I definitely like the way color grade number 1 is looking here, which is just basic. What do we talk about? Shadows being warmed up. And let's check the colors. I'm liking the color adjustments on... I think I'm liking the color adjustments right here on colors number 1, but it makes me wonder if I need to add more color in here. So I think I'm going to go with colors number 3, and let's run through these basic adjustments one last time and get an idea of if we want to change this around. kind of like basic adjustments 4. I think I'm going to add in a little bit of exposure right here, just a little bit, and let's bring the clarity down. Even though you could use that soften tool, we'll just go ahead and do it ourselves. Bring our whites up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and call this one done. Now you could jump down to your white balances here and just check them and see if you want to change anything. Personally, I think that one looks good. Let's move on to this photo right here from the Bahamas. Same thing. This is probably going to go in an Instagram story or something like that, just like the last one, so no reason to spend a ton of time on it. Let's go here. Oh, not flat, my bad. We're going to go with basic adjustment 6. Colors, I think we'll go with colors number 3. Do we want to add in a color grade here? I'm really liking the way color grade 6 looks, and let's check our colors. I don't think I'm going to have to change the colors on this one. I'm going to leave the colors as is. Personally, I just think they look fine that way. And let's soften this one up. Double check our white balances here, but everything on this looks spot on. A quick, easy edit. Realistically, if we wanted to, we could maybe move our tint a little bit to the purple side here, just slightly, but I don't think it needs it. I think this is fine, and especially being something that I would consider more of a basic social media post, we're cool on that. So jump to another one right here. We have this street shot from when I was in Tennessee a long time ago. Let's go up top, drop in that tone curve. Now, basic adjustments. This one, I think I'm going to need a lot of contrast, so we'll go with number 3. Let's check these other ones too. Ooh, actually, I think that one is the one. Colors, I'm going to go ahead and do a very slight color boost on this one. So as you can see, our vibrance just went up a little bit here. Color grades, I am going to leave these color grades alone temporarily and check on the colors. I think the colors look good out of camera. I don't think I have to do anything special to them. Check these white balances. I think those look good. What I am going to do is crop this particular image down to a 5:4 like that. I think that looks really, really good. Drop in some vignette here to really add some style to this shot. I think that one is done. A quick and easy edit using the tools that you have at your disposal. We could drop the softening if we wanted. I think softening 2 probably looks good. And once again, like every single one of these edits, it's up to you how you want to customize it. But the way I'm seeing it right now, I think everything looks good. Maybe these colors could be the move. I kind of like how it makes these pop and really brings that silhouette to life. So that one is done. These 2 photos right here are more of editorial style photos. I actually already edited these a little bit when I was messing with them earlier, but let's run you through the process. Let's see, we'll drop that tone curve in. This one has a little bit too much contrast because it was shot in low light. I'm thinking that adjustments 2 look really good. Let's run through these colors. I don't think these need very many color adjustments, but actually kind of liking that basic adjustments 10 right here. So I'm going to drop that in. Let's check these colors. Colors look solid. I don't know. See, here's the thing with this particular set. A color grade would look good, but it depends on what the client necessarily wants. So with this one, I'm going to drop in number 6, but I'm going to go down to this color grade, and I'm going to move this shadow a little bit over to the orange side right here and bring it down just a little bit and kind of customize it. Let's see how this looks. Actually, this one doesn't need a color grade. This is an example of me not needing to add one in there. Let's check these colors. Now, when it comes to something like client work, I don't like to do too much color adjustments because personally, you want the clothes on your model to look the way that they look. That one does look really cool. So if this is a photo that you don't care about your client, you don't care about the way the colors look, I would definitely do colors of 1. But if I was turning this in and we had to have color accuracy, I wouldn't do that. But just for the sake of today's fun, we'll go ahead and make that change. I'm going to add some vignette onto this one also. I'm going to crop this image in just a little bit right here to get that car out of there and get this pole out. We'll do that. That looks pretty cool. We can leave that as is, maybe add in a little bit of vibrance here. Leave that alone, or we could go to these color boosts. It's really your call. We could do color boost 1 and get some vibrance. So let's go ahead and copy these settings now over and move them to this other image right here. Paste those in. Bang, there we go. Photo done. That looks so sick. So let's leave that as is. This is a little street shot from a couple years ago. Gonna edit this one real quick because this might be another one of these quick social media images. Let's see basic adjustments on this. I think we can go with number 3. Possibly if you wanted to flatten it out, it could give you a completely different look. Let's do something a little bit more flat like that, just for the sake of example, because we haven't done one. And now these color grades, when you apply the color grades to a more flat image like this, you can really get a cinematic look. I like this blue hue going on this one in the highlights right here, as you can see right there. So let's check these colors. Do we want to make any big changes to the colors on this particular image? I think colors 5 looks good, but I want to boost up these colors too and see how that looks. And I'm thinking that number 3 is going to be the move, but I'm going to drop everything just slightly to customize it. I think that looks good. Add some vignette into this one as well. There we go. I can probably, you know what? I could probably add in vignette to this pack. So I'm going to go ahead and as I'm recording this, I'm just going to save this right here as new preset. And we're going to call this, let's check none. All right, there we go. We're going to go ahead and add that in. So it's now an option as part of this preset pack. Let's see. Let's just keep moving along here. Not many more examples to go. This is a photo from a couple years back, more of a nature shot. Let's see, start with our tone curve. Once again, let's check these basic adjustments. I think this one is going to be the move because it really brightens up our shadows. I think with this one, dropping the colors looks really good. It gives it kind of a more desaturated, mysterious look. I don't think this shot needs a color grade. It's not the type of image that really, needs that stylized look to it. But I do think that the colors look cool, a little bit more desaturated like this on number 4. Also, I would go ahead and remove that dust spot right there. We're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Get rid of that. And let's see. I think this one we could go ahead and call done. We could check this vignette if we wanted to, but I don't think this image needs it. We could soften it up just slightly. Double check our white balances here, but I don't think we're going to need to make any adjustments to that. Maybe white balance 1 could be an adjustment we make. It's not a really big one, but let's go ahead and do that. And I think this image is done. We could probably add in a little bit more white right here and maybe a little more highlight. I think that looks really good. Quick and easy edit on that one. After just a little stylized moodiness added to it. So once again, some more photo sets. These two are from Krog Tunnel. Let's see, we're gonna really stylize these because these dark images give us a lot of room to color grade, and these kind of have a more filmy vibe anyways. So there we go. Our tone curve is the first thing we apply. Now our basic adjustments. I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I think I like basic adjustments 8 right here. Colors, I'm going to do a small color boost on this one. We're going to go colors number 1. And now let's check these color grades. I personally want, like I said, something a little bit more dramatic. And I think color grade 7 is giving me what I'm going for. And now with adjustments to the colors, I don't think it needs it because the colors are very vibrant to begin with. So I'm going to leave those alone for the time being. And let's see, do I want to change the white balance at all? I don't think I'm going to need to. White balance 4 is a little bit tempting right here, but for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and leave that as is. I think this one looks good. Let's go ahead and copy these settings over to our next shot, which is in Krog Tunnel as well. Paste these in. That looks really cool. On this one, I might add in a little bit more contrast, and I might go back to this image and add in a little bit more contrast as well and bring the shadows up on this particular one. And this one maybe is a little bit as well. Now, one thing you can do when you're editing photos like this, where you want them to have the same style next to each other, if you want to double check, what you can do is right click and set one as a reference photo, and then you can do this. So click the RA down there, and now you can look at them side by side. So maybe with this image, we want to cool it off our white balance just a little bit right here to get them to match. I think that looks good, and I might bring my highlights. I think I can leave my highlights as is. Both of those look pretty good together. I think maybe actually I do need to bring some warmth over into this image. There we go. So that's something you can experiment with also if you're really trying to lock the style of two images to be as similar as possible with each other. So there we go. Let's go back to the rest of our examples. We have 2 photos made in downtown Atlanta, another example of matching colors. So with these, I am going to use tone curve 2. Curve 2 works better for Fujifilm images, for any of you Fujifilm shooters out there. And with this one, I kind of want a flatter look. 4 looks fantastic off the bat. I mean, that looks so good right there. And with this portrait, we can add a lot of style in with a color grade. Personally, I think color grade, let's see. I don't know if it needs a color grade, but we can if we want to. This is up to personal preference. We'll go ahead and do color grade 6, but what I'm going to have to do with color grade 6 is adjust my white balance just a little bit, I think. Go white balance 4, bring this over to the warm side just a little bit, drop our highlights down right there, and let's bring our tint a little bit over to the purple side. Check these colors real quick. I think that looks good. I might get rid of this color grade. Actually, what was that? I do kind of like the way color grade 3 looks. Gives it a little bit more of a desaturated look. Want to add some more contrast in. So there we go. We could obviously sit around here and mess with this a little bit more, but I think that looks good enough. So we'll go ahead, oops, not what I wanted to do. We're going to go ahead and copy these settings right here, and we'll apply them to the next image that was made on the same day. Paste this. That looks really good. Bring up the shadows, bring up our whites just a little bit, straighten everything out right here. That looks good. And if we really want to straighten everything out, we can jump down to our transform and do auto. There we go. Fantastic. And go back to that vignette setting. Drop that in. Look at that. Look at these two photos next to each other. So we'll set this as our reference. Peep this right here. Boom. Matching up perfectly. Look at how great those two images look together. So we are going to move on, do the exact same thing one last time. Hopefully at this point you're catching on to the whole vibe of today's video and how these presets work and how you can really utilize your workflow and get a lot done quickly, especially when you have batches of images together. So what we're going to do with this one, drop in the tone curve once again, check our basic adjustments. This one you can pretty much do anything to, but I'm going to do number 6. I'm going to add just a little bit of color in there, and I don't think these need a tone or a color grade, but maybe if you wanted to, you could drop in color grade 1. The colors, I don't want to change on this because the colors are very accurate to the way the shoe looks. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone and be done. Copy this, apply it to a photo made on the exact same day at the same location. And boom, look at how beautiful that looks. These two back to back look like they were made on the same day and the styles match up perfectly. So last image right here is just going to be another quick one. This might be something for like an Instagram story. Drop in a tone curve, basic adjustments. Let's see. Personally, I think number 10 looks great. And with this, I would just call this done because I really like the way the colors look. But once again, you could go in here if you really wanted to, maybe desaturate it a little bit, give it a moody look, and then drop in one of the different color grades we have. Personally, I think the warm color grade kind of looks cool, but I don't know. I don't know if I like the way, there we go. I think I like those colors more with that color grade. And maybe we drop in some vignette. It's up to you. There we go. All that looks, kind of like those colors right there with that white balance. So maybe we do that as well. So if you haven't figured it out at this point, this is the way my brain works when I'm editing a photo, but it's just now we have all these options to move it along. So maybe while I'm tweaking an image, I think, oh, what would it look like if the white balance got changed a little bit? How would it look if I added in some contrast or I did these basic adjustments differently? This is just speeding up that, tinkering that happens as you're applying presets to your images. And personally, I don't think there is a right or wrong way when it comes to these types of things, especially if this is something that you're just quickly posting on social media. It looks good right here. It looks good right here. And the last image we're going to do is of my buddy Chris. This was one we made a long time ago. Drop in our tone curve. This one has way too much contrast and punch, so I'm going to remove some of it using adjustment 4. Actually, I really like adjustment 8 on this one. So we'll do adjustment 8. I don't think the colors on this, I kind of like colors 3, but like we've been doing, I'm going to bring these down just a little bit to customize that look. I think that looks great. This doesn't need a color grade in my opinion. I think the colors look really nice by themselves. And let's check the other colors. I don't think this needs a color adjustment either. It's really up to your personal preference. You might like that one. That does look kind of nice. So just depends on kind of your vibe and how you are. I'm going to add in a little bit of contrast here. Check this vignette down below. And I guess you could soften this up a little bit if you wanted to, but it doesn't necessarily need it. Double check this white balance and make sure that it might not look better warmed up or something like that. Nah, I think it looks perfect that way. And that is how we edited that photo. So there we go, y'all. That is how I use this as part of my editing workflow. Now remember, there are things that I tweak on certain images. I do things like radial filters. Sometimes I go into Photoshop and do color balance as an extra step, but those are things that are impossible to include in something like this because it's further customization that I can't necessarily teach or set up as a default preset type thing. So remember that. Sometimes I use graduated filters, radial filters to stylize the photos. I also use clone stamping and remove certain things, and I also use the brush tool. So there is a little bit of further customization that goes on, but this is the base layer to everything. And remember also, as the channel progresses through this year, anytime I make photos and edit photos on the channel, I'm going to include the formula that I use to get the final edits on there. I'll show you guys. So this is going to be something that you're going to be able to continue seeing how it works over the course of the year. And I really appreciate y'all picking this up and being a part of this. And if you have any questions, you can email me directly at evanrampt@gmail.com. I will gladly answer them for you. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. And I really hope you enjoy this tool, and I hope you can get some amazing results. And now, after years of doing this, you can finally edit in a way that is the same as me. So enjoy this. Thank you for being a part of it, and thank you for being a part of the YouTube channel as well. Like I said, evanrampt@gmail.com. If you have questions, I would say see y'all next time. Like, this is a YouTube video, but it's not. So I'm out of here.